Hey my dudes, my name is Cecilia and welcome to my kitchen here in Stockholm, Sweden. I run a bakery from my apartment called Bageriet Lördag. I sell pastry boxes which are pre-ordered on Tuesdays and then picked up on Saturdays. I did this a few times this spring and it was such a success and I had so much fun. I wanted to keep doing it in the fall. I have had a long summer break filled with weddings and parties and recipe testing, but now I am ready to get back to business. This is my first week back to baking, and on the menu this week we have a mini cake with flavors of polenta, peach, and thyme. We also have a double chocolate thumbprint with flaky salt. There's a hallongifflar, which are like Swedish style crescent buns, and they're gonna be filled with raspberry. And then last but not least, we have Swedish style blueberry buns with a lemon glaze. Let's get baking.
Wednesday is prep day for me. I always write out everything I need to do for the whole week in a nice neat list. I tape the sides, cutting away the excess of course, and put my list up on the fridge. Then it's time for my least favorite part of the whole week, scaling. I just find it really boring and weirdly slow. I always scale my bun dough in these big bowls. I don't really have any bigger containers to scale into, so this is what works best for me right now. All the dry goods get placed in one bowl where I can clearly see each ingredient. This is so future Cecilia can be sure that past Cecilia didn't fudge up the whole thing. I sold 45 boxes this week, which means I need to make 2 rounds of bun dough, as a single batch definitely would not fit in my mixer. I don't mind though, even if I did have the space in my mixer, I would still need to roll out twice since I don't have enough counter space for that big of a piece of dough. Anyways, I just got this new speed rack and it is already such a game changer. Usually I would have all my scaled ingredients sitting on my dining room table, but now I can have them on the speed rack. It's so efficient. Also, if you're wondering why I'm wearing shoes indoors, it's because my feet hurt after standing too long barefoot, and baking takes a long time, so I have house Birkenstocks. They're like slippers, except they're Birkies, and I can stand in them forever. Anyways, I just kept scaling things out, putting lids on, and labeling. I gotta say, my labeling is really sloppy this week. No initials, no dates, not even what the ingredient is, just what item it's for. Maybe for a regular person that would make sense, but if you've ever worked in restaurants or bakeries, at least good proper ones where there are actual standards, you know that your tape should always have the date and your initials, and if it's scaled ingredients, it should have what those are and then how much. And your sides cut. No freaking ripping your tape. If I had employees, I would work like that, but since I'm at home, I'm a bit lazy because while past Cecilia maybe is a bit sloppy with labeling, I can trust her to always scale every ingredient correctly. She's reliable like that. After scaling, I browned some butter and threw in thyme for a thyme browned butter for, you guessed it, a thyme flavored Swiss meringue buttercream. While that cooled, I did my other least favorite task of the week, folding boxes. It's boring, but so incredibly necessary, and I listened to my audiobook while doing it, so it wasn't too bad. This week I was able to fold 45 boxes in 16 minutes, a new record! On Thursday, the very first thing I did was put on my first round of bun dough. Each round takes about 20 minutes to run and then at least 30 minutes to rest, and as I had 3 rounds of bun dough to do, I really wanted to get going. While the dough was mixing, I made a butter filling. I had scaled this out twice since I have to run the same bun dough 2 different times, and I wasn't really thinking about it, but there was no reason I had to mix them 2 separate times, so I just put all the ingredients in one bowl and mixed them together. I also threw some peaches in the oven. They roasted for about 10 minutes at 220 degrees Celsius. The first round of bun dough was looking glutinous and gorgeous, so I put that in the fridge and threw in the next round. Both of these doughs are vetedeg for blueberry buns. Next up was the filling for hallongifflar, which are like raspberry crescent buns. The ratio of butter to sugar in this filling is slightly different than the blueberry buns, so I mixed this filling separately, but why did I do it that way? I'm definitely gonna change that next time for sure. Anyways, with that done, I threw together some pan release for tomorrow's cake baking, and round 2 of bun dough was done. The last round of dough went into the mixer, and this is a Karlsbaderdeg. It's different from vetedeg in that it has both yeast and baking powder in it. I also put eggs in this, which I don't have in my vetedeg. The second bun dough went into the fridge, and it was time to roll out the first dough. I rolled it into a nice large sheet, plopped on half the butter filling, spread it all over, and sprinkled over a bunch of blueberries. I folded the dough in 3 and then rolled it out again, adjusting as I went. This first round of buns got so messy by the end, I was so stressed. I really hate being messy and sticky. I popped all the buns in the freezer drawer and slammed them into the freezer because my last round of dough was done. I took that out, cut it into 4 equal pieces, and rolled each one roughly into a log shape. Dough number 2 came out of the fridge, and I put the round 3 logs in the fridge to rest. Blueberry bun round 2 went much better. I worked much more quickly this round. I took a log of dough from the fridge and got started making the raspberry buns. This is a similar process of roll out, slap slap on some butter filling, spread it out, top it with fruit. But instead of folding it in 3, I rolled it up like you would for cinnamon rolls. I cut the buns, and then yet again, it was time to rearrange the buns in the freezer. The buns in the shallow drawer are just there to get cold and hard. Once the buns are all hard, they get put into a bag so that they're protected. Anyway, round 2 of the raspberry buns. Roll out, adjust, filling, spread, sprinkle raspberry, roll up, adjust, cut, freeze. Round 3 again. We roll out, filling, spread, sprinkle raspberry.
There's no water. Someone's cut the water. Why is there no water?
I had to finish that round of buns before I could investigate the problem.
Okay, I found a guy working because they're doing construction in my apartment building, and I was like, oh my god, did you turn off the water? And he was like, jo men bara för lite snobbis. But it's okay, the water's back.
Last round. Roll out, filling, spread, sprinkle raspberry, roll up, adjust, cut, freeze. The last thing I had to do was tear up the roast peaches. I added some sugar and began to boil them to melt the sugar, and then was like, wait, why don't I just roast them again? So that's what I did, and they turned out so great. Friday is mini cake day. Well, I made other stuff too, but we'll get to that. I have these fabulous mini cake pans. Real ones know that I used to only have 12, but I upgraded and now I have 48. Ugh, such a game changer. There's been a lot of game changing going on over here at Bageriet Lördag lately. This week I was making polenta cake. Other weeks I've made chocolate, olive oil, black pepper, all kinds of things. The base recipe is my absolute favorite and I just mess with it every week. It's so fun. Each pan gets 110 grams of batter and it was so much easier just filling all the pans at once. I used to have to grease, fill, bake, unmold, and then wash the pans and repeat 4 times. It was so annoying. I still have to do all of those steps, just only once now. It's so much better. The first round went into the oven. I poured up the next 3 rounds, and by the time that was done, the first round was out and the second round went into bake. Then I wanted to get some little things done. I made a simple syrup for brushing on top of the buns, as well as an egg wash for the same purpose. Then I moved on to cookie dough. I love this chocolate dough because it comes together so quickly and easily. No need to whip it or rest it or anything fussy. The only thing you need is really soft butter, but that is not a problem for me in this August heat. Anyways, I was supposed to make thumbprints in round fluted molds, but at the last minute I decided on these ovals instead. I just got these molds and I really wanted to use them. Anyways, I pressed the dough up the sides and the whole time I was still moving cakes in and out of the oven as they were baked. But once all the cookies were done, I put them on this tray and popped them into the fridge. This tray is the only one that fits in there. My last big project of the night was making Swiss meringue buttercream. My machine can only handle so much, so I had to make this twice. I love SMBC, it's my go-to frosting, but today was so weird. I guess the butter I used was too warm because the buttercream was soupy. I was a little worried because I've never had this problem before, but then I was like, this is a really common problem with SMBC, and if a night in the fridge doesn't fix it, then I'll just whip together another batch tomorrow morning. Apparently, I have great confidence in my own skill. Anyways, I put those away and unmolded all of my little cakes. I run an offset around the side and then just flip the pan over. I scrape the bottoms off and boom, the cakes are done and so cute. I love them so much. A punched out cake round could never. Mini molds for life. The last thing I did was cater wrap each tray of cakes, which basically means I just wrapped the absolute bejesus out of them so no air could get in or out. Saturday is the busiest and most intense day of the week, obviously. My lovely fiance had pulled the blueberry buns to proof, but they weren't ready to bake yet, so I decided to sneak the cookies in first. I organized them onto 2 trays and popped them both in the oven. While those were baking, I took the raspberry buns from the freezer. They are so small and it's been so hot in the apartment, I didn't want my fiance to pull them when he pulled the blueberry buns because I was afraid they would overproof. He pulls the buns from the freezer and trays them up for me around 1 in the morning when he gets home from his job as a line cook. The chocolate cookies were done and the blueberry boys were proofed, puffy, and ready to bake. They went in plain and when baked got brushed with some simple syrup. This helps keep them moist and gives them a bit of a shine. The cookies had cooled, so I popped them out of their molds. This was super easy, which I was really happy about. Next up was the dark chocolate ganache filling for the cookies. This was a little bit of a struggle today, but we got there in the end and I put it in the fridge to cool for a bit. I moved on to a simple lemon glaze for the blueberry buns and oh my god, these buns turned out so cute. I was worried about the raspberry buns, so I took a plastic cover I have for the speed rack and made like a proof box with the cover and a pot of simmering water. While I was waiting for the buns to finish proofing, I decided to whip together the Swiss meringue buttercream from yesterday. It was so soupy last night and I wanted to have enough time to make a new batch in case this one didn't whip together. But after a night in the fridge and a little love from the hairdryer, it came together perfectly. At this point, the ganache was ready to go, so I piped it into the cookies and then topped each one with flaky salt. The raspberry buns were finally ready to be baked, so I brushed them with egg wash to give them a bit of color and then started baking them off. They also got brushed with simple syrup when they came out of the oven. Finally, I can move on to the mini cakes. Each cake got a nice big mound of buttercream, and then I took a hot spoon and pressed a divot into each one. A dollop of roasted peaches went in the middle, and then last minute I decided that each cake should have tiny pieces of thyme on them. This put me way behind, so Axel had to come and help me. Matilda arrived and we got started packing boxes. Thank God for this girl. She shows up every week to help me pack and bring everything down. Another game changer I just bought is this wagon, and every single pastry box fit in it. Then I just sat down and waited for people to pick up their boxes.
And that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've typed up the recipe for the polenta peach and thyme cake, and it is now on my Substack for paid subscribers. To get Bageriet Lördag pre-order announcements, updates, and behind-the-scenes vlogs in Swedish, follow Bageriet Lördag on Instagram. For short-form behind-the-scenes vlogs in English, you can follow my personal TikTok or Instagram. And for long-form vlogs just like this one, as well as recipe tutorials, you can subscribe to me here on YouTube. I hope that you have a great week and that I'll see you again next week. Hej då!